the gain of wanting gain have taken that role away from us. And we as believers, as women that are believers, must regain that control, asking the Most High for wisdom and understanding of skill to produce again for the community. Because we can't be of this world, which is that's dealing in evil. We have to come out of her. So let us continue in what Angela has to say in regards to this. It says, when all is said and done, the housewife, according to bourgeois ideology, is quite simply her husband's lifelong servant. Or that's what people have imagined her to be, even though that is not true. But those of us who see the twistedness can't put two and two together because it has been hidden from us until now. So we have to wake up as sisters, as women, and know that what God has mandated in His scriptures is a holy and a wonderful ordinance. And it's a very important ordinance for us to continue and to keep. And not to be put down, for us to be producers, to be entrepreneurs and not servants, indentured servants now. We're working for wages, and we don't have to be skilled anymore to really work in these places. Not as skilled as before with our hands, but we're unskilled when it comes to making our own clothes or making our own bread, making our own soap. We have to go to the grocery store for all those things. But what if all those things collapsed? How are we going to provide for ourselves? Not only that, do we want to continue to be in that servitude and to depend on this system, on this beastly system? I don't think we should. I don't think we should depend on it. And through the scriptures, we'll look at why we shouldn't. Okay, so let's continue on. It says, the source of the bourgeois notion of woman as man's eternal servant is itself a revealing story. Within the relatively short history of the United States, the housewife as a finished historical product is just a little more than a century old. So for the past 100 years, this whole idea of housewife, that, you know, I'm going to be a housewife and I'm going to keep the house, four walls immaculate, and have dinner on the stove when my husband comes home and look pretty, is only 100 years old. That was not God's original mandate. Okay? And the apostles' admonishment. That is not what they were talking about. Okay? So let's continue on. And I want us to look at I'm going to go back to our page 228, because this goes deeper into more information about the capitalists. It says, since housework does not generate profit, domestic labor was naturally defined as an inferior form of work as compared to capitalist wage labor. So that means right now, how many women feel, well, I'd rather go outside the home and work and help bring in a paycheck to help with the household than to stay home and, cook and clean. who wouldn't want to do that? I mean, some people would choose to do that because they think that that is what they're supposed to do, especially as Christian and Hebrew Israelite women. But we are mandated to do much, much more than that. It says an important ideological byproduct or fruit of this radical economic transformation was the birth of the housewife. Women began to be ideologically redefined as the guardians of a devalued domestic life. Okay, so and this housewife idea was really began to be amongst this emerging middle class that began to be built up because of the gain and profit. Okay, so and again, this is not, I'm not touching on these subjects today, but it wasn't across the board to every woman that lived in America. Remember, you had black slaves. They were in a totally different class and totally different situation than the European American or white American that began to build profit. So, and we're not going to deal with that today, but just to let you know that the black woman really didn't have this situation with being a housewife, because she has always worked, but and taking care of her house. But of course it was exploited and been diminished also. So let's go into James 2 and verses 6 through 7. And I want us to look at what we are in the middle of. Because, you know, this book has stated that women, and that is including their families overall, status have been diminished because of this capitalistic society, or a society that is built on the gaining of profit, the gaining of material goods, the gaining of power and prestige. That and for oneself, not for the nation or for the community, what have you, but for oneself. And should we be like this? Should we be like the oppressor? Because they begin to, through ideas about how women should be and how the family should be, begin to oppress and depress women through those things. Work that she used to have as far as within the home, and that she controlled and that she guided her home with, she no longer has. It has been ripped out of her hands, ripped out of our hands. So we must regain that control, not as capitalists do, because it's not for ourselves to make us look more important, or look, I have this type of skill, you know, look at me, but it's to help to rebuild and to continue to build the kingdom of God and its righteousness. So James 2 and verse 6 and 7 reads, and he's talking to the church right now. He says, "But ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you? Have not rich men have made the American people indentured servants?" Really, when we go to college and when we go to school, we're not taught to be entrepreneurs. We're not taught to think on our own. We're taught to learn a certain skill, maybe a computer skill or something that the industry needs right now, for the corporation or for the organization. We're not taught to go out on your own. Here, let me teach you a skill, and you be that wage earner yourself. We're encouraged to work for someone else. Okay, So it says does not